Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for epic stories. They always told me I would never measure up. Why can't you be more like your sister? She's the smart one. The perfect one. The one we're proud of. Those words didn't just cut me, they carved deep scars into my soul. No matter what I did, no matter how much I sacrificed, it was never enough. They didn't see the nights I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why I kept sending money home when all I got in return was criticism. They didn't see the way I swallowed my pride every time they compared me to her, my sister, their golden child. Until one evening, it all cracked. The living room smelled faintly of my mother's cooking, but the air was thick with tension. Mom's voice rose, sharp and heavy with judgment. You'll never be as good as your sister. The words hit me like a bullet. My hands trembled as I pushed my chair back and stood up, my chest burning. The silence in the room was suffocating, but I forced the words out anyway. Then tell her to pay all the bills. I'm not sending money anymore. The room went still. Mom's eyes narrowed, confusion replacing her usual disdain. What money? We never received a single dollar from you. Her words struck harder than any insult ever had. My stomach dropped. My heart thudded painfully in my chest. If they never received the money, then where had it been going? That night shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. I've lived most of my life in my sister's shadow. Her name is always spoken with pride, mine with pity or disdain. She was the straight-A student, the one who went to college, the one who could do no wrong. Me. I was the disappointment, the barely making it daughter they tolerated. But what they didn't know, what they never cared to ask, was that I was the one keeping this family afloat. Every paycheck, I set aside a portion. Sometimes it meant skipping meals, sometimes it meant walking to work because I couldn't afford gas. But I did it, month after month, because I thought I was helping them. I thought they depended on me. Until that night. The look on my mother's face when she said those words, "We never received a single dollar," replayed in my mind like a broken record. My throat tightened as I excused myself and went to my room, but my mind was already racing. If the money hadn't reached them, then someone had been taking it. And I had one sickening suspicion of who. My sister. The same sister they idolized. The same sister who could do no wrong. I felt my pulse in my ears as I grabbed my phone, opened my banking app, and scrolled through the transfers. Each one had been made to the account my sister had given me years ago, the one she insisted was for the family's expenses. But now, the truth began to creep in like ice water down my spine. The account wasn't Mom's. It was hers. My sister had been taking everything. And my family had no idea. I couldn't sleep that night. My room felt smaller than ever, the shadows on the wall pressing in on me as if they knew the secret I had just uncovered. The glow of my phone screen was the only light as I stared at the banking app. My hands were shaking. Every transaction had her name on it. My sister. The golden one. The perfect one. All those times I had gone without, the dinners of plain noodles, the shoes I patched instead of replacing, the overtime shifts I pushed through even when my body screamed, it had all gone straight into her pockets. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. I wanted to scream, to storm into her perfect little world and shatter the image everyone worshipped. But instead, I sat there, hearing my mother's voice on repeat. We never received a single dollar. By morning, I had bags under my eyes and fury in my chest. I walked into the kitchen where Mom was washing dishes. She didn't look at me, just muttered, "Don't take your anger out on me. You know your sister's better with money." I cut her off. Better with money? My voice cracked. She's been stealing from me. Every single transfer I made, every dollar I sent for the family, she took it. She gave me that account number. You've never seen a dime because she's been keeping it all." Mom froze, her soapy hands hanging midair. Slowly, she turned to me, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" I shoved my phone toward her, the transactions glaring on the screen. Look at the account name." She squinted, and when recognition flickered across her face, I saw her breath hitch. But instead of anger at my sister, instead of outrage, her lips parted in something worse. Denial. "That can't be right," Mom whispered, shaking her head. "Your sister would never." "Would never?" I snapped. "You think your precious angel wouldn't lie? Wouldn't manipulate? She's been robbing me blind while you sit here praising her like she walks on water." The words rang too loud in the kitchen. For a moment, silence hung heavy between us, broken only by the drip of the faucet. Mom finally whispered, "Call her. Put her on speaker." My heart pounded as I dialed. Each ring felt like a countdown. Then her voice came, sweet, calm, polished, the voice that had fooled everyone. "Hey, sis," she chirped. "What's up?" I didn't waste time. "Cut the act. Where's the money?" There was the briefest pause, so slight most people wouldn't catch it. But I did. Because silence is where the truth hides. "What money?" she said, her tone light, innocent. The room spun around me. Rage bubbled up, but Mom's trembling hand reached over and hit the speaker button. Her voice cracked when she spoke. "Your sister says we never received a single dollar. She's been sending money every month." "Don't tell me." The line went dead quiet. Then, a low chuckle. Not nervous. Not guilty. Confident. "I wondered when you'd find out," my sister finally said. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just theft. This was betrayal. And she wasn't even sorry. The sound of her laugh still echoed in my ears. It wasn't the laugh of someone caught in a mistake. It was the laugh of someone who planned every move. "Explain yourself," I hissed into the phone. "Calm down," she said smoothly. "You'll wake Mom up with all your dramatics." Mom's face tightened. "I'm right here," she snapped, her voice shaking. "Don't play games with me. Did you take your sister's money?" Another pause. A soft exhale. Then her voice dropped into something colder than I'd ever heard. "Yes. Every cent." Mom staggered back as though the admission had physically struck her. My chest burned with rage. "Why?" I demanded. "Why would you do that to me? To us?" Her tone sharpened like glass. "Because, unlike you, I know how to use it. You would have wasted it paying bills, keeping the lights on, buying groceries. You think so small. I'm building something bigger." "What are you talking about?" I spat. Her voice dropped lower. "Confident. Dangerous. I've been investing it. Doubling it. Tripling it. I have accounts you don't know about, businesses you'll never touch. Do you really think I was going to let you play the hero of this family? Please." Mom gasped. You stole from your own sister to make yourself rich." "No," she said coldly. "I took back what was mine. Because let's face it, she was never good enough to carry this family. You all knew it. I just proved it." Her words sliced through me. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. For years, I had killed myself to prove my worth. And all the while, she'd been painting me as the failure while funding her empire with my sacrifice. Mom's voice cracked. "You've destroyed this family." My sister only laughed again. "No, Mother, I've saved it. When I'm done, you won't need her anymore. You'll have me. The daughter who knows how to win. The call ended abruptly. The silence that followed was unbearable. Mom looked at me with a mix of shock and guilt, her lips trembling but no words coming out. I finally spoke, my voice steady despite the fire in my veins. She thinks she's untouchable. And in that moment, I made a vow. If my sister wanted a war, she had just started one. I didn't go to work the next morning. I couldn't. My body moved through the motions, shower, coffee, keys in hand, but my mind was locked on one thing, my sister's laugh. That smug, venom-laced laugh that told me she believed she was invincible. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, Mom pacing behind me. "What are you doing?" she asked nervously. I didn't look up. Digging. If she thinks she's smarter than me, I'll prove her wrong. Nobody builds an empire overnight without skeletons in the closet. I typed her name into every search bar I could think of. Social media accounts glowed with curated perfection, pictures of vacations, designer bags, luxury dinners. The kind of life you'd think belonged to someone who earned it all. But I knew better. Scrolling deeper, I found something. A company name she had tagged in one post, Amanda Ventures. My pulse quickened. I clicked. The website was glossy, sleek, promising life-changing investment opportunities. The type of scheme that preyed on desperation. Red flags went off in my head. "Mom," I whispered. "She's running something shady." Mom leaned closer, squinting at the screen. "Maybe it's legit." "It's not," I cut her off. "Look. No address. No real contact info. Just a flashy website and fake testimonials. It's a scam." As if to confirm my worst fear, I scrolled to the bottom and saw it buried in fine print. Amanda Ventures is not responsible for any financial losses incurred. My blood ran cold. She hadn't just stolen from me. She was conning others. The phone buzzed on the table. A new message from an unknown number. My stomach dropped when I read it. "Stop digging, little sister. You don't want to know what happens next." I froze. My throat went dry. "Mom, she knows." Her face went pale. "She's watching you." The realization hit me like a brick. My sister wasn't just greedy. She was dangerous. And if she had people sending threats on her behalf, what else was she capable of? I stared at the glowing screen, my heart hammering in my chest. If I wanted to survive this and protect the family that had never protected me, I had to outsmart her at her own game. But first, I had to find out just how deep her empire went. Sleep became impossible. Every creak of the house made me jump. Every shadow outside my window felt like eyes watching me. But fear wasn't enough to stop me. If my sister thought threats would silence me, she had no idea how much fire she had just lit inside me. I opened my laptop again, this time tracing the accounts she'd funneled my money into. Hours passed as I cross-checked transfers, usernames, shell companies. And then I saw it. A wire transfer, $500,000, to a name I didn't recognize. But the bank stamp did. A foreign account in Dubai. My heart skipped. "She's not just scamming people here," I whispered. "She's laundering money overseas." Mom, sitting across the table with her face buried in her hands, looked up at me with hollow eyes. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying this isn't small. She's tied to something bigger. Something organized." As if the universe wanted to confirm my words, my phone pinged with another message. No name. No number. Just one chilling sentence. "Keep pushing, and you'll disappear." I dropped the phone like it burned me. My chest tightened, panic flooding my veins. But then something inside me hardened. If they wanted me scared, fine. But I wasn't backing down. I opened another tab, digging into Amanda Ventures. That's when I found an article, small, almost buried, from a local paper in another state. Authorities investigating investment fraud scheme. Several victims missing. Missing. The word stabbed me in the gut. I scrolled down, scanning names, until one leapt out, the supposed co-founder of Amanda Ventures. His smiling photo stared back at me, but the caption beneath it made my blood freeze. Reported missing 6 months ago. Case unresolved. My hands shook violently. My sister hadn't just stolen money. She was tangled in something where people vanished without a trace. "Mom," I said slowly, my voice trembling. "This isn't just her. She's working with people who make others disappear." Mom's breath hitched. Oh God. The phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, a picture. It was of me, taken through my own bedroom window. I couldn't breathe. My worst fear was no longer a possibility, it was real. Someone was watching me, and if I didn't move carefully, I wasn't just going to lose money. I was going to lose everything. The photo sat on my phone screen like a loaded gun. Me, standing in my own bedroom, blinds half closed, unaware that someone had been out there in the dark watching me. I wanted to crumble. I wanted to curl into myself and vanish. But fear had a strange way of sharpening me. The trembling in my hands stilled, replaced with something colder, harder. If they thought they could scare me into silence, they miscalculated. Mom's voice wavered. "We have to call the police." "And tell them what?" I snapped. "That my sister is running a fake empire and has shadowy people sending threats. They'll laugh us out of the station. Or worse, they'll tip her off." Mom's lips parted, but no sound came out. She knew I was right. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "If the police can't help, I'll do it myself. I'm done being the failure of this family. I'm done being the one in the shadows. If she wants a war," I clenched my jaw, "she'll get one." That night, I started with what I knew, the account numbers, the shell company names, and Amanda Ventures. Piece by piece, I built a map of her empire. But what I found shook me. Her investments weren't just in shady businesses. She had ties to politicians, lobbyists, even law enforcement. Payments disguised as consulting fees. Donations funneled through fake charities. My sister wasn't just stealing money. She was buying protection. Which meant if I exposed her, I'd be fighting more than family. I'd be going up against an entire network. Still, I couldn't stop. I wouldn't stop. By 3 a.m., I had a name I didn't recognize, Darius Kane. The same name linked to half a dozen wire transfers. A man rumored online to be connected to organized crime. If she was working with him, she wasn't just untouchable, she was dangerous to everyone. I slammed my laptop shut, my pulse racing. I had a choice: stay quiet and survive in fear, or move first before she tightened the noose around me. And for the first time in my life, I realized something terrifyingly empowering. I wasn't afraid of her anymore. I was coming for her. The next morning, I didn't wake up scared. I woke up ready. For years, I had swallowed every insult, every comparison, every sneer that I'd never be good enough. My sister thrived on the belief that I was weak. That belief was about to become her undoing. I slipped into a plain black jacket, tucked my phone into my pocket, and left the house. My destination wasn't work. It was a cafe downtown, the one she loved to parade around in, sipping overpriced lattes while people whispered about her success. When I pushed open the door, there she was. Perfectly dressed, head tilted just so, laughing too loudly at something on her phone. Her confidence oozed across the room like perfume. I walked straight to her table. She glanced up, annoyance flashing before she smoothed it into her trademark smile. Well, well. Look who finally crawled out of her cave. Save it, I said, pulling out the chair across from her. My voice was steady, but inside my heart was hammering. I set my phone on the table, screen down, already recording. Her eyebrow arched. What's this? A sisterly breakfast? I leaned forward. Cut the act. I know everything. The money. The fake company. The overseas accounts. Even your friend, Darius Kane. For the first time, her smile faltered. Just a flicker. But I caught it. You don't know what you're talking about, she said coolly, stirring her coffee. Really? I tilted my head. Funny, because I've got proof. Transactions, wire transfers, all tied back to you. And the best part? I tapped my phone. It's already backed up to the cloud. If anything happens to me, it goes public. Her eyes hardened, the mask slipping an inch. You're playing a dangerous game, little sister. I leaned back, forcing a smirk. No. I'm changing the rules. The tension between us thickened, silence pressing down as her polished facade began to crack. She leaned closer, her voice a whisper sharp enough to cut glass. You think you're clever, but you don't understand who you're dealing with. Then explain it, I said softly. On record. Her eyes flicked to the phone on the table. She knew. And for the first time, I saw it, not confidence. Not control. But fear. She stood abruptly, grabbing her bag. This conversation never happened. She walked out, heels clicking against the tile, leaving her half-empty latte behind. I exhaled, hands trembling, but a thin smile tugged at my lips. Because I had what I needed, proof that the golden child's mask was slipping. And once cracks appear, it's only a matter of time before the whole thing shatters. For 2 days, silence. No calls. No messages. No threats. It should have felt like relief, but instead it gnawed at me. My sister was too calculating to walk away. If she wasn't speaking, she was planning. And she didn't disappoint. It was late evening when I stepped outside to grab groceries from my car. The air was cool, heavy with the hum of streetlights. That's when I noticed it, a black SUV parked across the street, engine off, windows tinted so dark they swallowed the night. A chill ran through me. I forced myself to keep walking, bags in hand, but when I glanced again, the SUV door cracked open. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, face shadowed under a cap. Not my sister. One of her messengers. I quickened my pace, fumbling with my keys. Behind me, footsteps echoed. Evening, the man's voice drawled. Low. Dangerous. Your sister says you've been sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. My pulse thundered in my ears. I spun, clutching my phone like a weapon. If you touch me, the files go public. Everything. Names, accounts, scams. She goes down with all of you. His lips curled into a thin smirk. You think she hasn't planned for that? You're a liability now. And liabilities get handled. He took a step closer. I took one back, heart hammering, every instinct screaming at me to run. But fear wouldn't save me, only leverage would. You hurt me, I said, forcing steel into my voice, And the police won't be the ones knocking on your door. The feds will. Because I didn't just back it up. I sent it somewhere safe. Somewhere that'll burn her empire to the ground if I disappear. For the first time, he hesitated. Just a flicker. But it was enough. He turned his head, muttered something into a phone, then slipped back into the SUV. A moment later, the engine roared and the vehicle disappeared into the night. I collapsed against my car, my hands shaking so hard I dropped the groceries. She had sent someone for me. This wasn't just family rivalry anymore. It was survival. And now I knew the truth. If I didn't take her down first, she would erase me permanently. The night after the SUV incident, I sat alone in my room with my laptop open, heart pounding like a drum. I knew what I had to do, but once I pressed that button, there would be no going back. I drafted the post carefully. Screenshots of transfers. Shell companies linked to my sister. The Amanda Ventures website flagged alongside the missing co-founder's news clipping. Enough to hint at the truth, but not enough to expose everything. The caption was simple. Not everything that shines is gold. Sometimes it's a scam. #Amanda Ventures #truth will out. I hit publish. Within minutes, it spread. Retweets. Comments. Questions. People demanding answers. Some even replying with their own stories of being investors in Amanda Ventures. Victims who had lost everything. I sat back, adrenaline coursing through me. My sister had built her empire in silence and shadows. Now, I dragged her into the spotlight. My phone buzzed violently. An incoming call. Her name flashing across the screen. I answered, holding the phone to my ear. Her voice was no longer sweet, no longer polished. It was venom. Are you insane? Do you realize what you've done? Yeah, I said, my tone steady despite the fear ripping through me. I've made sure you can't silence me. If anything happens to me, this goes viral. You're finished. You think this will stop me, she hissed. You've just put a target on your back bigger than you can imagine. Darius won't forgive this. And when he's done with you, there won't be enough left to bury. I swallowed hard, refusing to let my voice crack. Then maybe he should know who's really pulling the strings. Because if I go down, I'll make sure your name is the one they all remember. For a long moment, only her sharp breathing filled the silence. Then she whispered, "You always wanted to be as good as me. Congratulations. Now you're finally in the game. Let's see if you can survive it." The line went dead. I sat frozen, the glow of my laptop reflecting off my pale face. I had drawn first blood. But now, she was coming for me with everything she had. The storm hit faster than I expected. By morning, my inbox was flooded. Fake legal threats. Anonymous emails warning me to delete my post before it's too late. My bank app pinged with a notification, my account frozen pending investigation. She was moving her pieces. Cutting me off, choking me out, making sure I couldn't breathe. But the worst was when I walked into work. 2 men in suits were waiting by the reception desk, their eyes cold, scanning every detail of me as if I were already guilty of something. "Ms. Harris," one asked, flashing a badge too quickly for me to read. "Would like to ask you a few questions regarding fraudulent financial activity." Fraudulent. She was framing me. I felt my legs go weak, but I forced a tight smile. "You can talk to my lawyer." I didn't have one. But they didn't need to know that. By the time I got back home, my hands were trembling so badly I dropped my keys twice. Mom rushed to me, panic in her eyes. "What happened?" "She's turning the system against me," I whispered. Freezing my accounts, sending her puppets to intimidate me. If I don't fight back smart, I'll lose everything. Mom sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. We can't beat her. She has money, power, people. I cut her off. Then I need people too. That night, I reached out. To the victims who had commented on my post. To the ones who had lost money, homes, families because of Amanda Ventures. Their anger spilled through the phone, voices breaking with desperation. And in their anger, I found something I hadn't had until now. Allies. One man, his voice low and grim, said words that burned into my mind. You're not the first to go after her. But if you're brave enough, you might be the last. I still have files, proof, but it's dangerous. Meet me tomorrow. Midnight. Warehouse on 8th. I wrote the address down with shaking hands. Mom's voice trembled. This sounds like a trap. Maybe, I said, staring at the paper. But if I want to take her down, I have to step into her world. The shadows felt thicker that night. But for the first time, I wasn't just running. I was walking straight into the fire. The warehouse on 8th loomed like a skeleton in the dark. Broken windows. Rusted steel doors. The kind of place where secrets were buried, and people, too. I checked my watch. 11:57 p.m. The city around me was silent, too silent, like even the night held its breath. Mom had begged me not to come. They'll kill you, she whispered, clutching my arm until her nails dug into my skin. But I couldn't back down. Not now. Not after everything. I pulled my hood low and stepped inside. The air was damp, reeking of oil and dust. A single flickering bulb hung from the ceiling, casting long shadows across the concrete floor. And then, movement. A man stepped out from the darkness. Mid-40s, weary eyes, a jagged scar running across his cheek. He looked like someone who had seen too much and survived too little. You came, he said, his voice gravel. I swallowed hard. You're the one who messaged me? He nodded once, pulling a folder from his coat. He held it out, his hand trembling. Proof. Bank records. Offshore accounts. Enough to bury her and Kane both. My breath caught. Why give this to me? His eyes darted around the shadows. Because I'm already dead. They just haven't pulled the trigger yet. But you might have a chance. I reached for the folder, but before my fingers touched it, the warehouse door slammed shut. The man's head snapped toward the sound, his face draining of color. From the shadows, heavy footsteps echoed. More than one. A voice, smooth, cold, and unmistakable, filled the air. Well. Look who thinks she's clever. My stomach dropped. My sister. She stepped into the light, flawless as ever, flanked by two men built like walls. Her heels clicked against the floor, every step dripping with control. I warned you, little sister, she purred, eyes glinting. But you never listen. Now look where you are. The man with the scar shoved the folder into my hands. Run, he hissed. But before I could move, one of her men blocked the exit. My sister smirked. Game over. The folder trembled in my hands, the weight of truth heavy as stone. My pulse roared in my ears, adrenaline flooding every vein. If I didn't act now, I'd never walk out of here alive. The folder in my hands felt like dynamite, and I was the match. My sister stood in front of me, arms crossed, her goons closing in. Her smirk was poisonous, her voice silk dipped in venom. You should have stayed in your lane, little sister. Always desperate to prove you're good enough, always clawing at shadows. But you'll never be me. Her words sliced, but this time they didn't wound. They fueled me. I lifted the folder slowly, locking eyes with her. You're right. I'll never be you. My voice was steady, but my hands shook. Because unlike you, I don't need to destroy people to feel powerful. Her smirk faltered for just a second, and I seized it. I ripped the folder open, scattering its contents into the air. Papers fluttered down like snow, bank statements, transaction records, names. Evidence of every crime she and Kane had buried for years. The scarred man lunged forward, snatching some of the papers mid-air. She's finished, he growled, flashing them toward the guards. If you're smart, you'll switch sides now before you go down with her. For a heartbeat, the guards hesitated. My sister's eyes narrowed, her mask cracking. Don't listen to him, she snapped. She forged it all. She's a liar, a bitter failure trying to drag me down. But I cut her off. You stole everything from me, I shouted, my voice echoing off the steel walls. My money, my family, my name. And you know what? Tonight it ends. If you walk out of here now, I'll make sure the world sees exactly who you are. The guards exchanged a look. One of them stepped back. My sister's fury blazed. You think you've won, she spat, her voice trembling with rage. You don't even know the half of it. Her hand slipped behind her back, and I saw the glint of metal. Gun. The scarred man shouted, down as the shot rang out, the sound deafening, shards of light exploding from the bulb above. Darkness swallowed the warehouse. The papers scattered at my feet. My heart pounded like a war drum. Somewhere in the dark, I heard her heels moving fast, circling me like a predator. Her voice sliced through the shadows. Run if you want, sister. But you'll never escape me. Not while you're breathing. And for the first time in my life, I believed her. The warehouse was pitch black, the echo of the gunshot still vibrating in my chest. Dust rained down from the shattered bulb. My breathing was ragged, too loud, betraying me in the silence. Come out, sister. Her voice floated through the dark like a knife. Calm. Patient. Hunting. The scarred man pressed a crumpled paper into my palm. His voice was a whisper, urgent and raw. This is the one she fears most. Don't lose it. Don't let her. A second shot cracked. His body jerked, and he collapsed at my feet. No. The cry ripped from my throat before I could swallow it. Warm blood seeped across the concrete, sliding toward me like ink. Footsteps. Slow. Taunting. Getting closer. I clutched the paper, shoving it into my jacket pocket just as a faint light flickered on a backup bulb sputtering to life overhead. The dim glow carved shadows across my sister's face as she stepped into view. Gun in hand. Smile like ice. You should thank me, she said softly, tilting her head. You were always weak. I just put you where you belong. My pulse hammered, but I forced my voice steady. What are you so afraid of, then? If I'm weak, why does one piece of paper terrify you? Her smile faltered. A flicker of fear. Bingo. I pulled the paper from my pocket and unfolded it. My hands shook, but I held it up where she could see. Her eyes widened. It wasn't bank records this time. It wasn't money. It was a birth certificate. Mine. Except, it wasn't. The name on it wasn't mine at all. It was hers. And under mother. Not mom. Another name entirely. My breath hitched. The truth slammed into me like a truck. She wasn't my full sister. She wasn't even who she claimed to be. Her voice cracked like glass. Put it down, Now. I stared at her, the weight of the revelation burning through me. All these years, you built your empire on a lie. And if this gets out, you won't just lose money, you'll lose everything. Her mask shattered then, rage, fear, desperation twisting her perfect face. Then I guess, she hissed, raising the gun, I'll just have to kill you before you tell a soul. The warehouse erupted into chaos. The gunshot tore through the air, the bullet whistling past my ear and punching into the steel beam behind me. Sparks flew. I dropped flat to the ground, my hands scraping against cold concrete, the paper clenched so tightly in my fist it cut into my skin. Stop running, she screamed, her voice wild now, all elegance gone. Face me. Another shot. The sound thundered, echoing off every wall. I scrambled behind a stack of rotting wooden crates, heart slamming so hard I thought it might break free. My chest heaved, every breath fire in my lungs. Her footsteps pounded closer. Click, click, click. The sound of her heels was gone, now it was the sharp stomp of fury. Then a hiss. I froze. Gasoline. The acrid stench hit my nose. My eyes darted to the side, a tipped-over drum, its contents bleeding across the floor. And in her hand, a lighter. Don't you see? Her voice wavered between madness and triumph. If I burn this place to the ground, all the evidence goes with it. Including you. She flicked the lighter once. A tiny flame danced, cruel and eager. No. My scream cracked through the cavernous space. I lunged from cover, hurling the nearest crate at her. The lighter flew from her hand, skittering across the floor. But gasoline had already soaked the paper trail and the spark caught. Flames roared to life. The warehouse became an inferno in seconds, fire crawling up walls, licking beams, swallowing shadows. Heat seared my skin, smoke clawed at my throat. My sister aimed again, the gun glinting through the smoke. You'll never make it out alive, she coughed, her voice breaking, but still aiming. And then, bang! The shot rang out, but it wasn't from her. She staggered, her gun slipping from her grasp, her hand flying to her shoulder where blood blossomed. Behind her, in the doorway of fire and smoke, stood my mother. Gun in her trembling hands. Her voice was a whisper, cracked but steady, not my daughter's. Not anymore. The flames roared higher, swallowing the walls. I clutched the paper in one hand, reached for my mother with the other, and we ran. Behind us, my sister screamed, her voice a banshee's wail swallowed by fire. The warehouse collapsed in a storm of sparks and thunder. We burst into the night, coughing, shaking, alive, but barely. And in my fist, I still held the paper. The secret that could destroy everything my sister had built. But as I stared at the fire devouring the only home her lies had ever known, I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The fire engines wailed in the distance, their red lights painting the night as the warehouse crumbled behind us. Heat radiated across my back, sweat and soot mixing into mud on my skin. Mom gripped my hand so tight it hurt. Her face was pale, her eyes wide not with fear, but with something else. Regret. She'll come for us, I rasped, coughing smoke from my lungs. My voice was raw, torn by the chaos inside. Mom didn't answer right away. She just looked at me, at the crumpled paper I was still clutching. The flames reflected in her eyes. You don't understand, she whispered finally. This isn't just about her. It's bigger. Much bigger. Before I could ask what she meant, police cruisers skidded onto the scene. Officers jumped out, barking orders, dragging hoses, shouting into radios. But when one of them approached me, I saw it, the hesitation. He looked at my soot-streaked face, then at the burning warehouse, then at my mother. Recognition flickered. Then fear. He stepped back without saying a word. Mom squeezed my hand harder. "Don't trust them," she murmured. "Not tonight." Paramedics tried to lead us to an ambulance, but Mom shook them off. Her eyes darted everywhere, scanning the crowd, the shadows beyond the flashing lights. "She's not gone," Mom said, her voice trembling. "Fire won't kill a woman like your sister. She'll crawl out of hell itself if she has to." I wanted to believe she was wrong, that the flames had swallowed her whole. But then a sound. A laugh. Faint. Distant. Twisted. It cut through the night like a blade, slithering past sirens and shouts. I froze. My blood turned to ice. Mom's nails dug into my arm. "She's watching." I spun, scanning the dark, my heart hammering, but saw nothing. Just smoke. Just shadows. But I knew. Deep in my bones, I knew. She was still alive. And she wanted me to know it. As the fire devoured the last of the warehouse, I realized the truth. I hadn't won. I had just declared war. The morning after the fire, the news broke like a tidal wave. Unexplained explosion at abandoned warehouse linked to financial magnate Elizabeth Blake. Headlines spread faster than the flames that nearly killed me. Her name was plastered everywhere, though details were scarce. The media loved her too much to crucify her outright, but suspicion was poison and it was spreading. I sat in my tiny apartment, the scorched birth certificate spread on the table before me. I stared at the unfamiliar name listed as mother. My hand hovered over the paper, trembling. Who was she? Why had my sister gone to such lengths to bury this? Mom paced behind me, chain-smoking, her silence heavier than smoke. Finally, I turned to her. "Tell me the truth," I demanded. My voice cracked. "Was she ever really my sister?" Mom froze, her cigarette halfway to her lips. Her eyes glistened with something like shame. "Not by blood," she whispered. "Elizabeth was adopted before you were born. We never told you because she made it clear early on that she hated the truth." My breath hitched. "And me? Who is my real father?" Her silence was louder than any answer. Days blurred. Anonymous threats arrived at my door. My phone buzzed with numbers I didn't recognize. Shadows followed me on the street. Elizabeth's empire was cracking, but her reach, still terrifying. And then, an email. No sender. No subject. Just a single attachment. I hesitated, then opened it. It was a video. Elizabeth, alive. Bruised, burned, but very much breathing. She sat in a dimly lit room, staring straight at the camera. "Little sister," she hissed. "You think the world will believe you? You think a piece of paper will undo me? You don't understand. I own them. The banks. The cops. The politicians. They all answer to me. And soon," her smile spread like rot, "so will you." The screen went black. My hands shook, but deep down, something inside me hardened. No more running. No more hiding in her shadow. If she wanted a war, I'd give her one. I gathered everything. The stolen money records. Offshore accounts. The forged documents tying her to Kane. And the birth certificate. Then I made a choice that would either save me or end me. I leaked it. All of it. To the press. To watchdog groups. To whistleblower platforms that never slept. By sunrise, Elizabeth Blake's face was no longer painted as flawless perfection. She was a fraud. A thief. A woman who had clawed her way up on lies, blood, and money that wasn't hers. The internet was a wildfire, and her empire burned faster than she could smother it. But I underestimated her. 3 nights later, I came home to find my apartment door ajar. My blood turned to ice. I pushed inside, the lights dead. "Welcome home," a voice purred. She stepped from the shadows. Not the polished goddess the world knew, but raw, scarred, feral. The fire had marked her, and so had the truth. Her eyes burned holes in me. "You ruined everything." I stood my ground, though my knees trembled. "No, Elizabeth. You ruined yourself." Her gun glinted again. But this time, I was ready. "Shoot me," I whispered, my voice low. "And the world will know. I left copies everywhere. My death will only seal your coffin." Her hand shook. Her jaw clenched. For the first time, she wasn't untouchable. She was cornered. She didn't pull the trigger. Instead, she dropped the gun, her shoulders collapsing under the weight of everything she'd built and everything she'd lost. "You should have been me," she sobbed. "Not this nothing." I stepped closer, my voice soft but razor sharp. "No. I should have been me. And that's enough." Police sirens wailed outside. The world had finally caught up to her. Mom appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. They dragged Elizabeth away, her screams echoing down the hallway, promising revenge even as steel cuffs bit into her wrists. Weeks later, the dust settled. Elizabeth's empire was gone, dismantled piece by piece. Kane vanished into the wind. The papers proved everything. But the birth certificate, that was different. I carried it with me to the cemetery one grey morning. I laid it on Dad's grave and whispered the words I had never dared say. "I know who I am now. And I don't need to be her." The wind lifted, carrying away the smoke, the ashes, the weight of her shadow. For the first time, I felt light. Whole. And though her voice still haunted my dreams, one truth anchored me deeper than her lies ever could. I had survived her fire. And I would never ever be her victim again.